all the speakers who have a presentation on tomorrow morning line up on the right. So you will have speaker pitches to introduce your talk to the audience. I think there are, how many? 8? We are missing one. Merci. Okay. So let's go for speaker pitches. Christian, feel free. Get it?
Hi, EASE was voted most innovative project this year by you, and I'd like to show you how and why. Tomorrow during my talk, we are going to extend an IDE, the look and feel and the behavior just by means of scripts. Just join me tomorrow right after the keynote here at Cassiope.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Alejandra. I'm here to talk about a new project which is being released in PolarSys, which is called OpenThird. So in OpenThird, we were thinking on systems which are critical. So if it breaks, you could put people in danger. And one of the important things on these systems is that they do need to go through quite laborious and costly certification processes. And OpenThird is there to help you. So let's your system from another point of view, from the certification and the authority point of view, which is so scary. And so tomorrow at 12 noon in Diamant, there, you will be able to talk and have questions about this.
Stéphane Boucher, I work for Incremenetal. Some quick fixes. Git models share through Git. So every comparison with eGit is supported through EMF diff merge. Also the conflicting cases. We also support subversion, which is all system, but same thing. Every revision of a model shared through subversion is supported through EMF diff merge. Sorry. The last and most important new feature for EMF is called model synchronization. So this is new and available for download, but not on the official Neon channels. What is a synchronization? So it's basically an incremental offline transformation of models. So you need Java or whatsoever. So it creates a virtual target. Okay, so you have the virtual target and the target. The framework synchronized by the EMF diff merge framework to do the match of the elements, the virtual target elements, and the targets that present you the result of the transformation. So, it's the end. If you have any question, please go to the website or ask any question. Thank you.
Double click and then it's Control L to start.
Yes. Control L. I'll let you go.
Thanks. Welcome everybody, my name is Ákos Horváth and I'm a guy from Inquiry Labs. Raise your hand if you heard about EMF Inquiry, please. Wow, okay, thanks. So I really hope this presentation will be interesting for everybody. So, to start with executable modeling, the birth